Hi, I'm Kathy. I'd like to share the story of my son. He is truly a miracle baby. I was 39 years old when I got pregnant. Had been homeless 2 months prior to that. I was totally busted, broke, and the future didn't look too bright. I never believed in abortion, ever. I never thought it should be an option. But given my situation and my circumstances as they were right then, so I went to a clinic in Metairie and I paid my money. It was a 2-day ordeal. I was there on the first day, but I could tell from the second I walked through that door, the stench. There's a smell of death, and if you've ever been around death, you know what that smell is, and it just hung over the whole place. I was nauseated. I wasn't there for the procedure that day. I was just there. And I left, and I called the baby's daddy, and I told him to come get me. Told him where I was, what I had been doing, and what I was thinking about doing. And he was nothing but supportive of me. He didn't believe in abortion. Never did. But I went to it was called the Crisis Pregnancy Center at the time. Now it's the Pregnancy Help Center. But I was definitely in crisis. And I was bouncing off the walls in crisis. I mean, didn't know what to do in crisis. And the director there, Cindy, she helped me. She didn't help me just in that one little meeting that I went in there, head bouncing off the walls meeting. She stayed with me through the entire pregnancy. She was at the christening. I really don't know if I would have wavered. I don't want to think about that on that decision had it not been for the support given me by the center. So since I was going to have a baby, I went to a doctor. I went to a high-risk OBGYN. And so I left there, and when I got home, there were messages. There were 5 messages from the doctor on my answering machine. Kathy, you got to come back in. I got to talk to you. Kathy, that was the same message over and over. So I picked up the phone and I called her up and I said, "What's up? You got to come in. Just tell me. Talk to me." And she told me that there was a problem and there was a genetic defect. He was covered, his spine and his head and everything. He was deformed. And the baby that was there was covered in fluid, I guess spinal fluid. And that I had a 97% chance to miscarry. Of the 3% chance I could carry, the baby had an 80% chance of Down syndrome, 10% chance of Turner syndrome, and 10% chance of another syndrome. Baby'd never be right if I could ever carry. And she suggested a therapeutic abortion. And I told her I already explored that option and it wasn't going to happen. She said, "But there's more." I said, "What more could you have?" She said, "You have a tumor growing next to the baby in the womb." She said, "You just did breast cancer last year. We have to biopsy this, and we can do that when we perform the abortion." And I just told her right then and there, I said, "You already told me I have a 97% chance of miscarriage. You can biopsy when I miscarry. It's not my decision to make. My decision is made." to leave it up to God. I went to a place that a friend had told me about. He said, if you ever need a miracle, go to St. Roch Cemetery. There's a little tiny chapel in the middle of the cemetery, and miracles happen there all the time. Well, I was looking for a miracle because the doctor had already told me how I was going to lose the baby. The fluid would have to shift, and when it would have to shift into organ cavities, and when it hit the lungs, that's when it miscarried. That's what was happening. They stopped the labor, put me in the hospital. I came back, and the doctor was doing the ultrasound, and she was shocked at something. I never could see the monitor. They would never show me. But she swung the monitor around, and she said, Kathy, the fluid, it's gone. It's not in the organ cavities, it's gone. I said, I left it at St. Roch Cemetery. I had prayed there for hours and hours. And on the monitor, you could see a baby and just tons and tons and tons and tons of skin just hanging off of this baby. They couldn't hold off the surgery, the labor anymore. I was in hard labor. It was about 6 weeks before I was due, but just holding out that long was miraculous enough. And they did an emergency cesarean section. So they took Lawrence right from me. I didn't get him at all. And then I heard him crying. When they finally did bring him to me, he had a little bit of extra skin on the back of his neck. All that skin that was just hanging off of this baby that you can see on videotape was gone. No plastic surgery. It was just gone. The tumor that they had to take care of, gone. Just gone. They looked and looked and looked. It was gone. My son was healed, and I was healed. And this child who had a 3% shot of being carried, and all these syndromes, not much of a childhood or much of a life, basically, is what they were saying. Never read or write. He's been in the gifted program at school for 3 years. He plays the banjo. He just incredibly bright. This child they would write off. That doctor never did give me hope. My hope comes from the Lord. I had to stand on the faith that whatever did happen was the way it was supposed to happen, but that I did not make the decision to end the life. I didn't do it. It wasn't my decision to make, and I didn't do it. I would have been forever changed had Lawrence not made it, but he did, because that was in the plan. Thank you.